What if I told you that the very system you trusted to run your hotel day in, day out might be silently undermining your guest experience?
So imagine, a couple that checks in, right? And a couple of minutes later, they come back and they're totally upset. Why? Because, they imagined a romantic weekend. They asked for a high floor, away from elevator, king bed, right? And what they got was a room to the street, twin beds. And so obviously they're completely fed up. And so why does this happen, right? Even though a hotel would like to meet these requirements, their rooms are stuck into simplified room categories. And that is the reason why it is not possible to do this assignment in an automated way. So the receptionist is stuck, right? And if the receptionist does not know the hotel inside out, they may not even be able to help and support the client. But the mess is done, right? The mess is done and the client is disappointed.
Is this a scene you are familiar with? The untold story of hotel inventory management, how it evolved and why for many it remains trapped in the past, is a story every hotelier must hear. Today we're about to unlock the secrets that can transform not only the way you manage your rooms, but how you can tailor each experience and delight your guests. Hi, my name is Mauricio Schiller and you're listening to the Schulering Hub podcast, Talking Hospitality. In today's episode, I'm joined by Carina Stegmayer, a visionary in hospitality who shares how decades-long practices evolve into today's challenges.
When I started in the industry, still in the 90s, there were many room categories, still categories. We were always managing in categories, but we had many more. We had rooms to the street. We had twin beds. We had king beds. So we were separating it. We even had rooms that were smoking rooms and non-smoking rooms. So in some cases, hotels had 40 plus room categories. Now, with the rise of online sales, this changed. The OTAs couldn't take so many categories. So everyone was clustering them. And by clustering them, we had one discrepancy between what was in the extranets and then the PMS. So you had simplified categories. You would, simplify twin beds and double beds into one and everything else, right? As simple as possible. The rule was have 4 or 5 categories at max. It needs to be simple, it needs to be easy, it needs to be done in 3 steps. And that was basically where we started to lose control.
Did that make you rethink how you're managing your own inventory? So switch on, listen to the whole chat, and learn something new with Schulering. Welcome back to another episode of the Schulering Hub Talking Hospitality podcast, where we chat about the industry and try to help you, hotelier, to get the most up-to-date knowledge that you can to deal with your business, to manage your business and turn it to the profitable machine. And today, I have a question for you. Is your team spending countless hours blindly assigning rooms? Or maybe your hotel rooms has a unique feature that you'd like to upsell, but you don't know how. So turn up the volume because our guest knows it all about inventory, revenue management, and how hoteliers can boost their profits. With me today, Carina Stegmayer from GauVendi. Welcome to the show, Carina.
Hello, Mauricio. Very happy to be here.
And we're going to talk about something very cool and probably outdated to mostly of our independent hoteliers. And I think that shines some light on the inventory and showing that there are different ways to sell rooms. Maybe a very cool and important podcast. So thank you for being here. And I can't wait to get all this knowledge out of you. But before you get there, in our community, always we speak about the human side first, because it's really important to know who you are. So, Carina, who
Who am I? Oh, very difficult. Well, I was actually I was born in Germany, but I was raised in South America, so I have a Latin heart in myself. But other than that, I always worked in hospitality in an international environment. That's what I actually love about it. And I started to work for back many years, over 25 years at UTEL International. Later on, Pegasus. So I was always in the distribution side of it. And then I moved to World Hotels. Some of you may still know it as Steigenberger Reservation Service. That's how the company was founded many years back. And I built up the account management. Today, you would say customer success, everything around sales, marketing, distribution, revenue management. And I was in charge of Europe, Middle East, and Africa. So quite a lot of hotels. Later on, I moved to the operations side. So I was heading up the distribution. That involved things that happened to us in the industry, right, when online distribution became more relevant. So next to the GDS is obviously the online world of OTAs, but also the direct channels, so the booking engines. And yeah, that's basically where my expertise lies, and how it then moved further to at some stage founding GauVendi.
It's GauVendi because first, it's amazing to have such a large experience, starting with Pegasus, that's being such a leading company for such a long time, and then moving on and facing the challenges of the industry itself, and then having that sparkle moment to say, wait a moment, I can do something here, I can do something better. So please pitch GauVendi for us.
Well, I try to do it in a bit of a different way, because I think from a user perspective, everyone may feel that happened to me, right? So imagine, a couple that checks in, right? And a couple of minutes later, they come back and they're totally upset. Why? Because, they imagined a romantic weekend. They asked for a high floor, away from elevator, king bed, right? And what they got was a room to the street, twin beds. And so obviously, they're completely fed up. And so why does this happen, right? Even though a hotel would like to meet these requirements, their rooms are stuck into simplified room categories. And that is the reason why it is not possible to do this assignment in an automated way. So the receptionist is stuck, right? And if the receptionist does not know the hotel inside out, they may not even be able to help and support the client. But the mess is done, right? The mess is done, and the client is disappointed, and most probably the soup is halfway cold, and it continues. So at GauVendi, what we did was we redefined how inventory is being managed and sold. And what we did was we decoupled the physical room from a fixed category. And this enables us to set price, sell, and distribute in a complete different way, in a dynamic way, feature-based, right? So we can actually highlight these uniqueness of our properties. And the most important thing, we can still do it in an automated way. And by the way, Gaudium Venditio, this is where our name comes from, the joy of selling, so that you know it has a purpose. Gaudium Venditio, 2 Latin words, the joy of selling.
We are learning something new.
Now, even Latin.
That's awesome that you came up with this idea. When we're gonna speak more about the inventory itself, and maybe the hoteliers out there just doing things as they do because someone told them to do this way, right? They never really got to think through why I'm doing this way and what I can do better. So to get in a full understanding, and now we're going to get to our main part of educating our hoteliers, let's a recap and try to understand what was before and how we're towards and what we have now when it comes to room inventory, and why you think that GauVendi is such a change maker.
I think really we have to take these couple of years back, and you said a very valid point. The younger generations actually took things or taking things as a given because they think that is how it has to be. Well, as a matter of fact, when I started in the industry still in the 90s, there were many room categories, still categories. We were always managing in categories, but we had many more. We had rooms to the street. We had twin beds. We had king beds. So we were separating it. We even had rooms that were smoking rooms and non-smoking rooms. So in some cases, hotels had 40 plus room categories. Now, with the rise of online sales, this changed. Previously, online sales was just through the global distribution channels, so GDSs, Amadeus, WorldSpan, Sabre, Galileo. But these were usually all properties in these key cities where international business was floating, right? Or fairs and events and corporate business. The rest of the hotels were managing everything by email, phone, right? Or tour operators. Prague in particular, right? Strong tour operator business, all offline. And then after September 11th, the OTAs raised. So there was this online rise of business from Expedia and Booking.com. And hotels were giving it all away to them. And I don't think the ones who are younger will not imagine that all these reservations were done without any interface. So guess what? You placed these, you entered the rates and your categories in the extranet, and you had to manually enter them afterwards in the PMS. Obviously, overbooking, I don't want to talk about overbookings during fair periods or things like that. But the fact was that obviously the extranets of the OTAs couldn't take so many categories. So everyone was clustering them. And by clustering them, we had a discrepancy between what was in the extranets and then the PMS. And as the interfaces between the systems started to come, they were basically matched. So you had simplified categories. You would, simplify twin beds and double beds into one and everything else, right? As simple as possible. The rule was have 4 or 5 categories at max. Otherwise, it's not digestible. And true it is, because the way how we sell it on the website, you see tons of rates or tons of room categories. People have to scroll and scroll and scroll, and then they just leave. There was always this rule. It needs to be simple, it needs to be easy, it needs to be done in 3 steps. And that was basically where we started to lose control. We were giving it, we were simplifying it. We didn't have differentiation in one hand. Plus, what we did was, obviously, we gave the prices cheaper to the OTAs than on our own websites. Later on, we tried to revert that in saying, hey, best price on our website. But, by that time, the OTAs have taken over already.
Amazing how you explained that, coming from how complicated things were, but of course they worked. Even though I heard stories in our podcast here of people that had to book in Prague a year, sometimes a year and a half before coming to make sure that they would get their hotel room, and when they arrived there was no hotel room available, and that things could happen, right? But that simplification, what problems for the hoteliers?
Yeah. Well, so on one hand, the simplification helped to get scale and basically get a lot of bookings. But on the other hand, what does happen is the fact that the category is not the smallest denominator of a room, right? Because the room itself is the biggest, the most detail that you can get. So having it in a category is already a compromise. It is simplification, and the more you do it, the less you know. And there is no way within the property management system, nor in any other system, to know whether this room has a twin bed or has a double bed, whether it's on a high floor, which view it has. This information gets lost. If at all, you have it somewhere in the notes, but there is no data point that really collects this very important information. So that's one thing. This knowledge got lost. And where was this knowledge before? Obviously, with more categories, you had a bit more, but you still would not know everything. But you had people who stayed for 25 years and the reservations. And at least these people could see when someone would send a reservation request in a note, hey, I want to have, away from elevator. They would at least manually be able to assign the reservation. So now we don't have the people with the knowledge. We don't have nowhere where we track this information. And thirdly, we have to assign all these reservations manually. There are some PMSs that would assign, but they assign it randomly, not by the preference or request from the client. So if you really want to meet clients' requests, you have to go through the reservation, through the notes, and then make the assignment manually. And if you are not knowledgeable about your property, it's very difficult. And let's face it, 30-room hotel, you may learn that very quickly. You know the benefits of each room and you can do it. But 100, 150 rooms, even with 50, and the turnaround of the people, it's difficult to know it. And these are really, really big pain points. But we live with that. We think this is how it has to be, right? So nobody is doubting that they have to review the notes and do the assignments.
Or thinking now that there is a problem with people, there is a problem with our systems, there are problems, but rethinking that maybe with what we have, we can work out and just think through, what's the name? Anyway, think about the problem, break it down, and try to find a solution. So how could these hoteliers then rethink this inventory management? Sorry to interrupt. If you're enjoying the show and if you are learning something new today, please consider following the show, subscribe to our channel, or leave us a review. It helps us to help more people through the podcast, and it would mean the world to us. Thank you for listening, and we're back on the chat.
So, really, you just mentioned something. Let me emphasize on this again, because some of the problems that we have today were caused by this simplification, right? But we live with it, right? So the way you can solve it, first of all, it is, I always think that when you've done a reservation, you've done the business, right? You've done the sales, right? Why have to touch everything? We don't even think about all the workload that comes along with a made reservation, that we really have to go and handish, assign it, check it, etc. That is a cost point, right? Because it takes our resources to do something. So how do we solve that? So this is what we thought in the times of AI. We need to rethink it, but AI can only do as much as it exists in regards to that we have the right data points, because we don't have them. If you don't have data points, you cannot search by it. So what we have done is really we took the inventory, the rooms, and we decoupled it from the category. It means, to give you an example, room number 100 is not in a fixed way attached to standard room category. You could still sell it, because you really want to sell it as a standard room category, but you could also take that room and sell it as nice double room, courtyard view with a king bed. You can take this room as well and say, room number 100 is next to room number 101. We take these two together and we say two rooms connected, and that's a new product. So a room is a product, and like a good salesperson would sell over the phone, the technology that we have built is capable of doing that automatically online and in an obviously automated fashion, assign these bookings to the right rooms.
Something sparkle here is a question, because before you mentioned that there was that need from technology to say we need to simplify sales. People need to sell by 3 clicks, otherwise they get lost and they quit, right? But once you start getting back to that categorization and create each room as a different feature, you may think that you are overloading your shoppers, right?
Exactly.
What do you say to that?
So that's a totally true point. And it happens today. We are overloading the people. And it's not because of the 5 categories we offer, but we have like 10 rate plans on top of that, right? And then you try to guess what's the difference. And in the end of the day, you always end up in the superior room, standard room, whatever. But that is totally true. The point is, not everything is relevant to everyone at the time of booking. We are able to push and present the right products to the right people at the right time. If you're traveling today on a business trip for a night and you have an event in the hotel you need to prepare for, you may be looking for a room that is quite located but that has a good working desk, etc., right? Tomorrow you're traveling with your wife and the kids. complete different needs. So we need to push the right product to the right person at the time of booking. This is what the capability is. So we are not actually pushing through the millions and millions of products that we have in the background, but we present the right product to the target group. Yeah, and that is basically the functionalities we have done. Is we have done a different labeling tactics. We're using labeling tactics. We're using different sales tactics that are used in other industries. You think about retail, think about supermarket, right? Cereals. You go and buy cereals. I tell you that your cereal is looking, for strong man, healthy, whatever, right? My cereals looks biologically, your kids will, for every day's breakfast. The content is the same, but I am being targeted in a different way than you are. And that's basically, these kind of tactics are the ones that are that we don't apply in hospitality. But everywhere else, it's possible. You can buy your burger at Burger King and you can say whether you want it with tomato or without tomato. You can label your shoes and put your brand name on it. You can do so many different things, but in hospitality, you can only book a category. And this is where it's wrong, right? So now you see in a sea of sameness, and that's perfect for OTAs because you don't have differentiation anymore.
Now it really strikes me. I can compare to airlines, right? To attribute selling the airlines. When we spoke about this before, because basically in the airlines now they sell the basic ticket, and then you start buying the things that you want to buy, the window or in the front seat or with a little bit more leg space, and everything is a little bit of a different cost for seat. So when you guys plan all this, did you think about this attribute selling, and would you explain a little bit of the difference or the similarities between them?
Yeah. It's classical because we've been basically copying the airlines when it came to the GDS business, and over the past 20 years, we always thought about we need to copy the airlines. As a matter of fact, we didn't do that, right? We don't believe that this is the right thing because hospitality is about experiences. And in a airline seat, same as in the cinema, or in the train, already, there is this kind of a standard what to expect. What the airlines did very well was they basically came already from a unit level, from a seat, but they unbundled everything which was around it and charged it on top. We don't come from a unit price. We come from a category price. So we've never done it in that way. And when it comes to attribute-based selling, it's one tactic, but we don't do it in that way how the airlines would do it, that they say, here's your seat, now comes your luggage. Well, apart from the fact either you need luggage or you don't, because if you're on a 2 weeks trip, you must buy the luggage. So it's not something that you say, hey, I want to have a nice view, right? It's a must-have. We bundle and sell the experience, as I mentioned before. And therefore, the point is not of saying, I book a room and now comes 20 euros more for a view and another 20 euros more for a king bed. No, I either book a cozy double queen bed for 150 or I book a large double king size bed with view to the mountains, and that may be 175. And because of that, I take a decision. And because I can bundle, as I mentioned before, and I think about it from a retail point of view, like in the retail, everyone says, people who book this also book that, at the Amazon effect. And or look at even Coca-Cola. You remember that Coca-Cola where you had Emma and you had your personal names on it? You remember that it wasn't Coca-Cola, but you could buy. People would buy it. It's the same stuff inside, but you feel like, oh, it's personalized. So guess what? If there's a Mauricio room, you would say, that's so cool. I'll book it, right? And that is what is possible. The emotional, the retail strategy, how you can really position every single room in a different way. And not everything is relevant. Carina will not book Mauricio's room. As easy as that. But I will get exposed something else. And that is the power with new technology.
When speaking about all that a power on the purchase, right? Like, so you're giving the guests better choices, really. So what I understood, and please correct me if I'm wrong, that what you're trying to do is not really unbundle everything and charge extra and extra in the guest side, but really just give the guests an option to feel gratifying by, wow, they know I can get exactly the holiday that I want. So how, in your, and what's the feedback that you get from the hoteliers using the system in the guest experience? What's the satisfaction levels? And let's talk about what's the how.
Yeah. What you just mentioned is right. So everyone has a different reason. You can obviously charge for your corner rooms because they're slightly different, and you can charge for your high floor. But guess what? We have as many people who want to have a high floor than some people who want to have a low floor. So it's not always about I charge more. You can, but and actually every hotel of us does charge on some items that they know they are unique, and they people are prepared to pay for, right? But it's not always, the purpose is not always about more. The purpose is about guest satisfaction, getting the conversion up, because now people can really find what they're looking for, and that goes fairly quick. Obviously, they don't have to send an email or call, right? Because they don't get what they're looking for. And that already increases the conversion. It increases the guest satisfaction. Coming back to my couple previously, remember that couple that was unhappy, that wouldn't have happened because they would have been able to select, book it, and really get it confirmed. If I had a hotel that had really superior rooms, and in these superior rooms, they had 3 rooms that have balcony. They never told anyone, but it was everywhere in the reviews. Hey, if you book this hotel, ask for the superior rooms with the balcony. Obviously, you want to charge for that, and you can. So this is where you have the part where you make more money on really being able to label it, but you're also able to position your product to the different target groups in different ways. And that immediately, increases a conversion because, again, 2 rooms next to each other, connecting rooms, all of this can be booked. And that is definitely an upsell. We have better guest reviews. Therefore, we can charge also different. As we all know, higher the guest ratings, the better the price elasticity goes up. And the hotels make more money. They have reduced workload. The amount of phone calls and emails go down. In average, to give you the idea, we increase the conversion. So booking funnel, let's explain that perhaps. We speak about the ones who come into the booking process and complete the booking. This conversion, we triple the conversion usually in most cases, and we have an average conversion of over 7%. Yeah, we know it's big, but it comes not only from the fact that you suddenly can book what you want, you're no longer playing chess against the chess world player booking.com, because you will not win. If you're trying to compete just with best price or cheaper than on Booking, nobody will do. But if you are playing something completely different, then there is a reason. We have this billboard shopping effect that we all know. You are on the OTAs, and people, over 60%, I think it's like 65% of people who are on the OTAs also check out the hotel website. And when they see on the hotel website, oh my God, they have that, but I can also do this and this. This is when you have the opportunity to win them and convert them. That's one thing, how we increase also the conversion, not only because of the personalized booking experience.
You said something, and like a question just completely struck me. So if you are on a Booking, you don't have the same options to book your room?
No.
And how does it work with the PMS?
Exactly. We translate, our technology translates back into the category sales, obviously, right? So we all translate back into the sales, but and that is the great thing. You can actually we are connected also. We have a solution that we also connect to the channel manager. So you could continue your differentiation also on the OTAs. But we all know the OTAs do love clustering. The more, the better, because this is how their AI works. The simpler, the better, because you're no longer comparable, and it's an easy comparison amongst the other properties. But yes, we translate back every booking. This is why we need to be connected to the PMS. That's essential. We have a two-way interface, and this is why we also are able to assign them these rooms directly. Every reservation is assigned to the right room. Obviously, if a client books, I don't know, a double room high floor, that can be also moved because you have more rooms that are double and high floor. But if I book high floor, queen bed, away from elevator, green shaded, right? Perhaps I just have one or two, like I have sometimes with a suite. This is when we assign it, and we also lock it automatically, because then you don't want to change that. And now, I tell you what the next question would naturally be. But now I have so many gaps in between, right? But this is no longer a problem for us because we are managing inventory on a unit level. We can sell every single room in every single gap automatically as well. And we also are capable of preventing that we are getting overbooked on the categories. Because, very classical, you're getting bookings on your standard room category for 3 nights. And you only have 2 nights in room number 1 and 1 night in room number 2. It doesn't matter how you shift it and how you move it. You have to upgrade someone in order to assign this reservation into standard room category. And because we know that, we are capable of actually sending you already the right minimum length of stay and maximum length of stay on the category level. And that prevents that you get these overbookings. Because nobody measures their overbookings and all the upgrades, the free upgrades that we all do, right? That's quite a lot of money.
When you're saying that, basically, I feel some anxiety of the hotelier thinking like, but then I have to categorize each room of my hotel. How does it work with the process of teaching and collecting these data points to make it work?
Yeah, it goes very quick. Yes, we think a lot, but we have almost 100 hotels live, so they're all working very well. So what happens is usually during the onboarding, we take your category. It just goes plug and play when we connect it to the PMS. And then you basically we enrich your information. We enrich your information by this is on a high floor, this is on a medium floor, low floor. That's a simple one because we all know it usually by the room numbers. But then, this is a corner room, this is away from elevator. These are things that are added at the onboarding. And then, the prices are connected and the upsell is done. We get usually within a couple of days, a hotel is up and running for sales. And as they go, they start to change the way they sell. Because the moment you find out that it's nothing negative anymore to actually highlight your uniqueness, that you finally can really spread it out without having a negative impact operationally, everyone starts to sell like that. Because this is what you're proud of, right? This is why you are in hospitality, because actually this uniqueness about your property makes you special. This is what people talk about. And there is one room that you may say, I don't like it so much, but then there are others who say, it's my preferred room. And you're like, really? Everyone has different tastes. Everyone wants something different. And this is why it's so great to work in the independent, right? Because there you can make sure that the rooms are different. But even if they're not, you need differentiation, because even if every room would look the same from an interior point of view, there are rooms away from elevator, there are rooms that are more quiet, there are rooms with a different view. And the view is different on the first floor than it is on the fifth floor. The light is different depending where you are, right?
I can see so much value for the independent hotelier here, right? Because when we think about corporate hotels, normally you think about a box that's all look the same. Okay, you can trust, we'll be there, everything will be in certain quality. But basically is that experience. You know what to expect, right? When you go to the independent hotelier, that the ones that we're talking to here, their properties are normally handcrafted, right? Like each property is very different from each other. Each room is different from each other. They build everything with love, really, and creating each room with an experience. And if they can sell that, that would be awesome.
And what you just said, but even if we have both, right? We have from the leisure hotels, I have also hotels, smaller hotel groups where they are purpose built, right? Where they're actually lacking differentiation in regards to the rooms would look different. But guess what? And you think the corporates don't want. I have a high demand for these. These are corporate hotels in city locations, and the corporates do select. They do select. One wants really the room to the courtyard, the next one wants that, and they can't because they just get told double or single, and that's it, right? And it's like they don't have wishes. Depends. If you coming in late night, you're leaving early in the morning, you may say, whatever, right? I don't mind. But the moment you're staying 3 days, you may have an opinion, and latest when you're in the room, this is when you have an opinion. Because sometimes we also don't know what to expect. So this is why AI and a new way of selling is also important. If I travel for the first time to a hotel, I may not know all the uniqueness or the differences. I don't know. But this is why all these repeating guests write you and say, I had this room the last time, I want this again. Now they have done the experience, right? And this is why it's so important that we rethink in hospitality how we sell and how we make it. And even the ones who don't have so much differentiation, they need differentiation in the way of location, views, sizes, right? That's important. And now, most recently, as you've learned, perhaps, or you've heard it as well, the Booking.com is further standardizing the room categories. So they're forcing the hotels to use specific categories like any chain would do, because that helps them, that helps their AI to really make things very comparable. So you're losing the chance of your individualization. How can you tell people it's an experience to come to my place? It's special. If they take everything away from you and make it as neutral as possible, obviously that helps the AI and the models of Booking.com, but it doesn't help your direct sales. You just become a supplier and a fulfiller.
I love the message. Now, Carina, we are jumping now to the last bit of our interview, talking about the future. And you already made a hook there because you just spoke about how AI should apply and open new ways of selling, right? And I'll just make a disclaimer about the future here. I do in every episode, but just to make sure if I get new listeners today, that this is not to predict the future. So don't bet your money on what we're chatting here. We have a chat, an open conversation, and it's really to brainstorm. So our idea with this part of the future of the episode, we've done from episode 1, which I think that's episode 95. And all the 95 episodes, in the end, we speak and chat about the future as a way, giving away an opportunity for hoteliers to brainstorm with us. And maybe they can think, oh, wow, I didn't think about that before. So it's just an idea, okay? So disclaimer made, we're not predicting the future. We're chatting about the future. But a new ways of selling. What do you think? And as a founder, I believe that you live 5 years ahead that you are right now, because I'm a founder and I live in the future. I can never be in the present. So what do you think that is going to be this new way of selling moving forward?
I truly believe that we have built something that enables hospitality to gain back control over their distribution and own their distribution and put things into a right balance. This is not about not working with OTAs, but it's not about being completely at the mercy of others to be successful. And that's not the right way. So I think the new technology really enables that opportunity. Secondly, I truly believe we've done something wrong by thinking, oh, how did the airlines do it? Or how do the other? we didn't think about the others who are selling experiences already. And hospitality is about selling experiences, making people dream, making people feel right. And this is what they remember. It's an experience. Obviously, the people on site make it special. But if things are already right, that I'm in the right room, things have been offered to me, right? Presented, I come with a complete different mindset. I arrive at the hotel and I'm positive surprised. And even if something would slightly go wrong, it's going to be just one thing and I forgive it. But if things go wrong from the beginning, right? And I out of control, there is also a lack of understanding from guests. Why, if just ask for something simple, give me one bed and don't give me twin. Why can't you do that, right? People don't understand that this is not possible. And so I think in the next couple of years, if hospitality, and this is now the benefit for the independent, they are so much quicker than the chains. And I can tell you, the chains work on it, they do it, and even the OTAs work on personalization. Everyone is personalizing. Why? Because, there is no standard guest. Why do we sell standardized products in hospitality? It's completely contradictory to what hospitality is all about. So I am very sure that the ones who really change, they will benefit the most, the quicker, because it will happen. And the chains are working on that to maintain their loyalty. But, you don't have to put things into a cage. You can really offer, that's the new way of loyalty, really creating that personalization. So I do think it's a huge opportunity to put things right that went wrong in the years when we thought, oh, that's about technology and internet. That's not hospitality. We don't have to do anything with that. Have distribution handled by someone else. And we gave it away. And that was a big mistake. But we can gain it back. And then we can also, gain a complete different mindset of people into hospitality. Because I think there are people who don't even think about working in hospitality because they think, oh my God, it's checking in, checking out, stupid job or whatever. But guess what? If they are also being able to sell experiences and products and make it, fun and attractive and really sell your why, sell the stories. This is when people that have not thought about hospitality suddenly think, what a great product to work for. And that's what I believe will happen. I'm very sure it is happening because others are doing it. But I truly believe independent could be really at the forefront here because they can be quicker. They can take decisions. And that is fantastic. And we should take decisions. That's what I hope.
I love the way that you put that. Actually, the sales of hospitality can incorporate hospitality as well, right? So basically, what you're saying is that you can incorporate these elements of guest satisfaction and pleasing the guest by giving the change of emotions, even in the selling process, even online. So that is welcoming a happier guest from the moment that they arrive. And one question that I have to you is, what is your view on the OTAs themselves moving forward? Because there are many conversations that were where people are pointing at Generation Z rather prefer to book in the hotel website with a hotel that they can actually understand if it match their mission, match their values. And OTAs, you can't do that, right? It's basically a price comparison. So you cannot understand the hotel itself. And this generation is a little bit worried what their friends will think if they go to the wrong hotel, right? Do you think that we are moving back towards direct booking, or that OTAs will keep with the power of reinventing themselves and still be the main source?
Well, I do think we have the opportunity, absolutely. It very much depends on hotels to dare also to change. Because if I see hotels giving away their prices, because they give a mobile rate to an OTA, which is 50% cheaper than, and they can't control it, or they join some of these OTA loyalty programs where they can't control the prices, obviously, even the Gen Z will say, you know what, it's 79 versus 150. I don't book on the website, right? What could happen is that they don't book at all this hotel because they think, what a weird discrepancy, right? But as I said, the billboard effect is happening today. 65% of people look on the website, look on the OTA, and then look on the website. So yes, there is. And there is a trend of personalization. That's nothing I have invented. Everyone wants it, and everyone is unique, right? And we knew that. And before it was consuming. Now it's all about experiences. It's all about being able to tell others how great it was. That's the kind of generation that wants to share that, right? And share how great and special everything was. How can something be special and unique to them if they booked deluxe, the unique room they got? Either it was a great room or it wasn't the room they expected. And then, guess what? They will not come back, And so, yes, I do think there is definitely an opportunity there, but the offering must be also there. You can't win it by just having a nice website and say, oh, super Insta pictures can be done. That will not be enough, right? So, yeah. And guess what? The OTAs are working very, very hard on hooking in the booker in different ways. And they're very good in that. And secondly, they are also personalizing, but on their way. They upsell other stuff in a different way. So they do add-ons. And this is where they come into the personalization. And I tell you also something, they don't care at all whether you operationally can fulfill it because they sell it. They sell it anyways. And then it's sold. And then at the time of arrival of the guest is surprised that the high floor that they booked wasn't available, right? Or any other app. And that's happening today.
No, it's horrible. It's horrible. Even garage, right? They sell car space and, well, sometimes it's not available and they still sell it.
Totally, right? And the hotel has the problem. The hotel gets the negative reviews. The hotel gets the bad atmosphere, right? And that bad atmosphere in worst case scenarios, everyone around this guest can feel as well. So not to be underestimated.
Some conversation. Thank you very much. How can our audience get in touch with you and learn more about GauVendi?
Well, very simple. They can go on our website, GauVendi.com. They can obviously reach me on LinkedIn, and I will be happy to be in touch and exchange. I know this is about change management, but it is a great opportunity for us in the independent space to be ahead, to be finally ahead again. And that's why I'm in this industry. And this is where I believe we have the biggest opportunity now with new technology available to us.
Your links on the notes here so everyone can get in touch with you. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate the conversation.
Thank you very much, Mauricio. It was a pleasure.